Alrighty, class. Welcome to my first edition of the flipped classroom. For those of you that aren't aware, we're going to be trying to do some more flipped classrooms here at Central Montcalm High School. What it basically entails is you will, instead of enduring the lecture during class, you now get to take the lecture home with you. And then the idea is then you come back and then you work on the material presented in the lecture with the teacher around. Okay, so instead of, for example, for math class, instead of getting the math lecture in class and then going home and being expected to do the homework because you heard the lecture, now you watch the lecture at home or listen to the lecture at home, and you go to class and you work on the material that was covered in the lecture with a teacher that knows the material presented. I'm not saying that your parents don't, but in most cases the teacher is supposed to know it a little bit better. So that being said, what we're going to be doing is we're going to try and give that a test run here for this class involving some CSS code. For those of you that don't know, CSS stands for something just like HTML did and does. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. What CSS is it's a formatting language. Where HTML is a little bit of both, CSS is strictly formatting. HTML is not intended for formatting. We are able to do some basic formatting as you guys saw using HTML, but we're going to leave that from here on out to CSS. Your code is going to transition from transitional to what we call strict code. Basically what that means is not a ton for you, since we've been kind of following those rules all along with our end tags and things like that. Basically the only thing that's going to be new for you in addition to the CSS is you're going to be making sure that you get this new header area that you see on your screen right here. This doesn't mean a whole lot to you. There's some things in here that you're going to recognize, and there's obviously a lot of new stuff in here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through this just because it's not important for you. Okay, it's important obviously for the browser, but it's not important for you. As you go and start new HTMLs every time, in fact, what you're going to do is once you get this typed in once, you're just going to copy and paste it to a new one. There are some things you're going to have to change. The title, for example, just like we had it before, if you want to put a new title in, which you are going to be required to do, you can do that each time. So I'm going to change my title right here to my title, simple as that, and that is what will appear on my web page now. Okay. If we go a line below, this is perhaps the most important line when it comes to talking about linking our CSS. Okay, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to have separate files here. Okay, here is our HTML file, as you can see, and I have another text edit open, which is going to be our CSS file. Okay, so from now on, whenever you are asked to start a new web page, whether it be following along with me or working on a project, just plan on right off the bat opening up two text edit windows, one for your HTML and one for your CSS. And I'll explain the importance of that here in a little bit. But first things first, we're going to save this other file here. And the difference that we're going to have here is instead of saving it with that HTML extension as we have been, we're going to add a new extension. Okay, so we'll just call this my first page, even though that's a lie. It's your first CSS page. And this extension is going to be CSS. Okay, and I'm going to save it right to my desktop just because that's easy. And there we go. Okay, notice no spaces, no special characters, same rules apply. Okay, now what we're going to do, and you're going to want to do this right away. Okay, notice I have my body tag in there, my body in tag, my HTML tag. There is an HTML tag, as you can see right up here. Okay, it has some attributes in it as well. Not going to go over those. We may, in passing, kind of talk just briefly about it, or you're free to go look it up on your own. But we're not going to waste time with it. Okay. Meta tags, we might talk briefly about that, but like I said, not right now. Okay. What's important is that we need to link this formatting page to this HTML page so that when our browser tries to open up our HTML, it goes through all this and it reads, I need to link to a formatting. I need to read how we're going to format it, and this points it in the right direction. Okay. In fact, it'll point it right into the direction of the location of this file, which contains rules for formatting. So because of this, once we get working on it, your browser will know what font color, where your table is supposed to be placed that you have in your HTML, what your background is supposed to look like, okay? So you get the idea. And just like an internal link, it's very easy to add, okay? We save this on the desktop, so all I'm going to do is go to my desktop here, find my CSS, which is right here, and I'm simply going to drag it into my HTML, and I'm just going to drop it there. It's just like an internal link, Okay, and just like that, we know that we've linked our CSS. Okay, there you go, my username, location, and the file name. Okay, so that is what you need to do. That's the basics right there. Don't forget to save it. Now you're saving 2 files. Don't forget that, even though there's not much to save right here. Now we can start talking about what your CSS needs to look like. But before we do that, it's really pointless unless we get in some tags. Okay, so I'm just going to throw in a basic p tag. I could format my body tag right now, and I'll do that, but for the time being, I'm just going to do a p tag quick and keep it basic. Well, here we go. It is time to learn some formatting. And I got to apologize. I guess I'm not too creative. I struggle with coming up with sentences. So there you go. You get the idea. I have some content. Okay, I have a tag, I have some content, and I have an end tag, which makes an element. Good job. I'm sure you were thinking that in your head. Well, CSS is kind of like that as well. Okay, so if we want to format this particular p tag, we simply go over here and we just type in a p. Okay, and this tells the browser, hey, we're referencing any instance of a p tag. Okay, our brackets are going to be a little bit different. I have no idea how to give the hand sign for these brackets, so any creative people out there, feel free to throw one at me tomorrow. So anyways, let's just keep it simple, and that's all we're going to do. We're going to keep it short and simple, and I just want to adjust the color of my particular p tag there. Okay, so I'm just going to say color, and now we can either do a color code we can look up, or just to keep it even easier, I'm just going to go ahead and keep it a simple green. Okay, now here comes the moment of truth. I save both of these. I go over, find my HTML file. Where in the world did I save it? There it is. I open it up, and there we go. It worked. Okay, so there you have it. It worked. Wonderful. Okay, now just like a picture. Okay, if I were to take this this file right here and create a folder, which you really are going to want to start doing now as you add pictures and things like that, and your web pages get a little bit more expansive. It's going to be smart right when you start a project to just start a file. CSS1. There we go. Okay. Now check this out. When I drag that CSS file in there and I save this, it's going to say I can't find it. Okay. Or if I go like this and I refresh it, it's black now. Okay. Because my browser has been told you will find our formatting file on the desktop, and I just moved it to a folder. So I went against the rules there. Move it back. Refresh it. And I bet you my color comes back. And it did. Okay. So like I said, very basic stuff right there. Nothing too in-depth. If I want to change the background, okay, all I got to do is go body and get my bracket in. There you go. Okay. A little bit different, but the nice thing that we're going to have here is the fact that I could have, check this out, 30,000 different HTML files all formatted with one file. Okay, so I don't have to go through each one of these and format code it for the HTML. Okay, all I have to do is have one CSS file, and all I have to do is come up here, and this is, you're going to find this to be a little bit easier. It looks like it's going to be really confusing and a lot more work. Okay, but all you're going to have to do is make sure that you copy and paste. And then once you copy and paste, to.html, once you copy and paste, just go back in and change your titles. Okay, my title page 2. Just like that, it's already linked. Obviously, we'll change around this a little bit. Maybe we'll throw in just an H2 just to show that this page is different. Make sure we end it, save it, and let's find it. There it is. Open it up. And it's making me nervous. There we go. Okay. And if, just for example's sake, just like we formatted the P tag, we can go in, color, blue, there you go. Boom. Okay. Now a little explanation and then I'll be done. Okay. Your lecture will be over. Okay. What I recommend that you do if you're ever having trouble, okay, W3 Schools right here is a great website for information on HTML and CSS. Okay. It's slightly smarter than I am. All right. Slightly. All right. But it's going to be easy. Okay. As you can see, there's a map here that's going to show you the parts. It's going to give you some ideas, some very basic stuff. Okay. I don't claim to know it all, but I know that the web has a whole lot more information than I do. Okay, it's tough for me to admit, but you all know it's true. Just like we talked about content and elements and tags in HTML, CSS has their own syntax as well. But we're going to call it a little bit different terms. Okay, we're going to go with selector, declaration, and that's broken up by the property and the value. Okay, so as element is to HTML, declaration is to CSS. Okay. It basically encompasses the whole thing, even though it's not listed here. So we have a selector, a property, and a value. Property plus value plus selector equals declaration. Okay? If there's questions, I got a question box, or you can iChat, or you can make sure you bring them to class with me today or tomorrow or today. Depends on when you're watching it. Hopefully you're watching it on Monday. But you will have an activity right when you get to class. It's going to be very basic. We'll cover exactly what we just worked on right here. It's going to require you to put this header information in, and it's going to require you to do some CSS coding on multiple files. So if you have questions, like I said, let me know. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you. I hope this works for everybody. Good luck to everyone. Later.